we have an I, and it's a negative I. So therefore, if we have a 0 that contains a negative I, we know we have to have a 0 that's going to contain a positive I, right? So therefore, my other 0 will be x equals 3 plus I. It doesn't have to be a negative 3. It's the exact same 3. It's just the I is going to be with your conjugate. All right? So now we have the zeros. Now let's set them equal to 0 so we can set. So that means I need to subtract a 3 and subtract an I on both sides. Right? Subtract a 3 and add an I on both sides. And then subtract a 3. So therefore I have x minus 3 minus I equals 0, x minus 3 plus I equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. Now this looks really confusing, right? Right? Confusing. Good. That's okay. So now let me ask you a question. If I said 5 plus 4 minus 3, all right, we know that answer is going to be 6, right? Well, what about if I did this? 5 plus 4. Does that change anything? No, because we're always working left to right, correct? Always working our left to right. Okay, so I just wanted to see. So now, ladies and gentlemen, if we have this, we know that, remember, we set our factors equal to 0, right? This is a factor. This is a factor. And this is a factor. We like when factors are 1 or 2 terms. I'm not too sure about 3 terms, but it is a factor. So it's x minus 3 minus I. And since it's a factor, that means what operation can we do to obtain our polynomial? We'll have to FOIL, and FOIL is what operation?
First outer interval.
Right, but what operation? Add, subtract, multiply, divide? Multiply, right? So we take each one of our factors, and we're going to multiply them. Now, if you really like multiplication, you can apply FOIL for all these. You really can. All right? There's nothing wrong with it. Do a trinomial times a trinomial. All right? Then multiply by binomial. There's nothing wrong with it. You'll get the right answer. However, what I like to do is, since we're working left to right, I'm going to group my x minus 3's. Okay? Remember I said it doesn't matter. You work left to right. So if I group the first 2 terms, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? So now I have x minus 3 times x minus 3. All right? Now there's something important that I noticed. Is inside the parentheses the exact same number or expression? Yes. Is the I and I the exact same? Yes. Well, sorry. Is the absolute value of the last number the same? Yes. Is my separating them, is that a negative and a positive sign? So what type of factoring technique do we know that's factored when you have the first numbers are the same, the last term are the same, and then are adding and subtracting, alternating? Difference of 2 squares. So guess what? When I have difference of 2 squares, I just multiply the first 2 terms and multiply the last 2 terms because I know that the middle terms add up to 0. So therefore, all I'm going to have here is x minus 3 squared minus I squared. And that's going to be times x minus 3. And we're not going to set this equal to 0. We're going to find the polynomial. So x minus 3, though, you know x minus 3, that is a what? What is x minus 3? How would you describe this to somebody? You'd say x minus 3 is it is part of your factor, but even more, just as it's a binomial, but what type of binomial? It's a binomial that's doing what? What is, it's x minus 3 is, here I'll help you out. A x minus 3, that is a binomial squared. It's a binomial and it's squared, right? Do you know what a binomial square produces? When you square a binomial, you produce a what? A perfect square trinomial. Oh, yeah, very good, very good, very good. So this produces a perfect square trinomial, which we practice on our factoring, again, which is going to be x squared minus 2 times negative 3, which is 6x, plus 9. And then negative I squared is just going to become, let me just finish this problem, will become positive 1. Times x minus 3. X squared minus 6x plus 9 plus 1 is just going to become 10. Okay, now you just have a binomial times a trinomial. That's not as bad. When doing a problem like that, I create the box, I do 2 rows, 3 columns. I put the trinomial on the top, and then I do x minus 3. Now you find the area of each box, right? You go to them, you gotta go to. X times x squared is x cubed, negative 6x squared, 10x, negative 3x squared, negative 18x, negative 30. And then we know that those two terms are the same, so our final polynomial, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be f of x equals x cubed minus 9x squared minus 8x minus 30. Yes? Yes, that should be a positive 18x, so therefore that should be 28x, right? Thank you. Whoa! Sorry to keep you late. Yes?